So we went from this, the Yahoo homepage, directory and search, to this, because we categorized the world better. It's a search economy. We're looking for specific things. They were the best at finding it. To this, where the brilliance of allowing your social graph to influence what you're consuming, and which started with, I want to see the baby pictures, but it's changing dramatically to, here's what I'm reading, here's a link. But we're not done. Because now we went to this, where Twitter appreciated that largely mobile-generated short-form text messaging-like updates could be a basis for a media sharing service. But now we're here. And this is all three combined. It's a real-time, mobile, and social media consumption experience. And I'm sure this is totally obvious to all of you because you're doing this without thinking about it. But man, that changes everything. It changes the way an editor thinks about building a homepage. It changes the idea of pages. There are no pages. We've gone from pages to streams. Media will be consumed, is being consumed in streams. And we're consuming it when we want, not when someone else tells us to. The programming is out the window, and we're deciding what to consume based on what our friends are telling us. And just as importantly, we are encouraged to be publishers too. It's never been easier for us to post an update. So the source of all this information is now all of us. So individual publishing in streams consumed in this method. So, well, we know what's happening, right? We know that print and radio have been massively impacted by just the general shift to interactive consumption. We know that viewership and listening is down. We know that advertising is down. To some extent, some TV is down. It's not dramatic. And honestly, I think TV is in a very different category. They are very well protected for quite some time. I don't think there's going to be dramatic upheaval there. But they are losing some eyeballs. What you tune into is being heavily influenced not by the commercials that you no longer watch, but by what your friends are doing if you're watching. And here, we look at this as a very meager slide, $50 billion global opportunity because the difference between the amount of time we're spending on the internet versus the amount of dollars being spent to media there is so dramatic. So this is a case for upside in internet advertising. We know traditionally who's doing but we know so this is just an example of some of the brands that are impacted by this spend. But what else is in danger of being destroyed? The traditional first-generation media properties on the web, who are living in a page world, who are not heavily socially influenced or have the mechanisms for creating social influence, and who aren't well suited to real-time mobile platforms. Now, all of us know that. They're investing heavily. The big announcement with Facebook is a great example. Of course, you can use Google on mobile devices. But this is a real challenge. If your core entire method of being has been focused on monetizing pages, and the world is shifting to streaming, a very different future ahead of you. Who's figuring it out? Well, these guys are crazy good at figuring out how to program based on social. There are no editors at post. They measure purely the virality of stories out within social graphs and program based on that. They're all over mobile. They love for you to use big iPad, Android, iPhone apps. They're figuring out. Facebook, obviously, you can say no more. Twitter and YouTube. These are just examples, I think, of brands that are uniquely suited, short form, real-time social. So the shift is inexorable. It's really significant. I think hopefully I've made the case. Our friends and connections are the editors. It influences our media consumption. It will influence dramatically our purchase behavior, as Christian alluded to, social commerce being a recommendation engine for things to buy. We're consuming in shorter terms. We're consuming more rapidly. We're consuming in real time. More of us are becoming publishers. This was the promise of blogging, that everyone will be a publisher. Not really. Blogging is still, it still requires some thought. You've got to sit down and compose a few paragraphs. There are a lot of bloggers, but not like there are status update posters. I mean, I don't know the stats. I know them for Twitter, where only about 12 or 15% of the users are publishers. I imagine it's much higher at Facebook. But I don't know it. Maybe you can vote Christian for it. It doesn't have to be equal. The number of consumers doesn't have to be equal to the number of publishers. But I do believe that the ratio is higher in real time. One of the things at school is new experts emerge. So if I tweet a lot about venture capital, and you retweet my tweets, or you like them, I develop some influence, I develop some expertise, and experts, individuals, not institutions, are rising to the tops of lists and being propagated as creating potentially individuals as information brands. Totally different than the way New York Times built its reputation, totally different than the way most news and information has been delivered under the auspices of a credible brand. I don't think we're heading in that direction. So hopefully that's a little bit of information about how I view the future of media. Let me just tell you briefly about how we're betting, where we're placing some of our dollars given these trends. Now, not all of the investments I'm going to talk about are perfectly aligned with what I just said, but I still think you'll find some interest in the 4 or 5 companies I'm going to quickly highlight. So the first should be obvious to you. This is a company that leads social advertising targeting. Their premise is that people who are friends have similar brand affinities. And that if a lot of my friends are flying British Airways or buying jeans, that I am more susceptible to marketing messages from British Airways or my jeans. That's not a theory. It's actually been proven in research for 40 years. But they're applying it to the net by looking at who your friends are and what their consumption patterns are, and then showing advertising to you, not on social networks, everywhere, on the web, on mobile devices, that are brands that your friends are consuming. It's not as spooky as it sounds. It's totally anonymous. Don't use the Facebook social graph as the mechanism for determining who you're connected to because of privacy concerns around that. They do it in a more privacy-friendly mechanism. But the theory is exactly the same. And this portends a dramatic change in the way advertising has been bought and executed. It was contextual targeting, where I bought an ad in the financial section of a newspaper because it had a financial product to sell you. It went to demographic targeting, where people who are 25 years old like Levi's. Then it went to psychographic targeting, where people who are new moms and dads who live in suburban neighborhoods will drive minivans. But now it's social targeting, and I think it's the future of advertising. This is the leading company in the space, so we invested in them. Slide sharing is the YouTube for PowerPoint. Well, why? Why is that interesting? Because professionals need to share too. You get your job done better when you share slides, you share data. This is a mechanism for sharing the information we need to get our job done, not within a company, but across the entire internet. We think it's a large economic opportunity. Blogger. This is the largest network of bloggers. This is investment's a few years old, so it doesn't have a great answer today to mobile or real time. But nevertheless, the notion that individuals are creating as credible content at extremely low cost. The network of women bloggers who produce Blogger have 75% the amount of traffic on iVillage, the largest women's-oriented content network. iVillage has 325 employees. Blogger has 17 employees. Their cost of content is essentially nothing because the network of women bloggers is creating. So low cost of content and high interesting affinity. Where is the largest mobile ad network focused on location-specific advertising? So when Foursquare rolls out, when you see them say special nearby, and soon you'll see them say deal available, like, you know, for the next 2 hours, spend $50 now, or spend $20, get $50 worth of food and drink at Smokes. Because you need an excuse to go to smoke. They're the largest supplier of that advertising into most of the location-specific applications that you're seeing. This was a little bit left field, but I just thought you'd find it interesting. This is the leading startup doing real-time media purchasing. So they created an exchange, just like the NASDAQ, where buyers and sellers are buying impressions in real time. Literally the minute, the second you show up at a site, they bid and a bid and ask occur, a transaction happens, and a media buyer buys an ad based on who you are. Not personally who you are, but maybe some cookie type characteristics. They just have a huge partnership with Microsoft. Smartly, because as the world gets flatter and and everything goes multilingual, and everything's real time, and everyone's posting status updates, and we're all connected through the social graph with people no matter where they live. Everything needs to be translated. These guys are the easiest and quickest way to translate your website. It takes about a minute to sign up, and about 20 minutes later, your website or web application is translated. And last, I wanted to mention Red Beacon, which is going after Craigslist, which I don't think has been updated in about 12 or 14 years or so. They're going after the market of both. Since we're all so connected now, and we have opinions on the local services we use, like the plumber, or the dog walker, or the piano teacher, they're aggregating those opinions and using that as a basis for helping them find a better plumber next time we need local service, as opposed to looking through some listing that's not socially influenced in any way. Gazelle, because we all need to get rid of our dead gadgets. This is when you're trying to get rid of your iPhone, you're ready for the iPhone 4, what do you do with the iPhone 3? You sell it on Gazelle. Fascinating sort of take on the complexities of eBay, and these guys make it easy to sell sort of e-waste, we call it. And that's my story. So,